Okay, so get this. Today we're diving deep, right into biohacking with Brian Johnson. You might know him. He's kind of famous for, well, he's trying to reverse his biological age.
Yeah, I've seen him around online.
Yeah.
He's the guy with like hundreds of supplements and tracking every little health detail.
The whole 9 yards. And you know what I find so fascinating? He says you don't have to be a millionaire to do this.
That's what got me too, you know? Brian's whole approach, I mean, it seems intense.
Yeah.
But it really makes you think, like, how much control do we have over aging? And the fact that he's trying to make it accessible, I mean, that's huge.
Totally. It's like, what could we all achieve if we really put our minds to it?
Yeah.
Right? And speaking of putting his mind to it, Brian and his team, get this. Over 30 doctors, they've identified what they call the power laws of longevity.
Oh, I've heard of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the stuff that has the biggest impact on, well, how long we live.
This is fascinating stuff, and it's not, you know, some crazy out there things. They're pretty straightforward. Things most of us can actually control, like the first one is not smoking.
Of course.
No surprise there. But Brian's research shows it can add 12 years to your life.
Whoa, 12 years. That's a pretty good reason to quit. And speaking of motivation, there's exercise. Clocking in at a potential 7 extra years.
Wow.
He suggests 6 hours a week.
6 hours?
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, it does sound like a lot. But he says it doesn't have to be all hardcore workouts. Just moving consistently.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's so cool about exercise is that it benefits almost every part of you.
Oh, totally.
Stronger heart, you know, better blood flow. It can even boost your mood.
Yeah, and it protects against cognitive decline. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's a multivitamin for your whole system.
I love that analogy. Okay, now for the foodie part. Brian's big on his modified Mediterranean diet. He calls it the blueprint diet.
Okay.
And this one could add 6 years.
Nice. The Mediterranean diet is always ranked as one of the healthiest.
Always,
Well,
right.
There's a reason, you know. It's all about whole foods, tons of veggies, healthy fats.
You know, the drill.
Yeah, all that good stuff. Packed with antioxidants, fiber, nutrients, fights inflammation, protects against heart disease.
Yeah, it's like it gives your body the building blocks it needs to thrive.
Exactly, building blocks.
Okay, what else?
Okay, so Brian says that maintaining a healthy BMI, specifically between 18.5 and 22.5, could give you another 4 years.
Okay, but isn't BMI kind of controversial these days?
Yeah, a little bit.
Right.
It doesn't really count for things like muscle mass, right?
Exactly.
It's a good guideline, but it shouldn't be the end-all, be-all.
I agree. Focusing on overall health and how you feel is so much more important.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, ready for a potentially controversial one?
Hit me.
Brian suggests moderate to zero alcohol
Okay.
for another potential 4 years.
See, this is where it gets tricky. There are some studies that suggest, you know, moderate drinking might have some cardiovascular benefits.
Right.
But you can't ignore the risks,
Yeah.
right?
Certain cancers, liver disease, it's really a personal choice. Talk to your doctor. You know, consider your own health history.
Good point. Okay, last but not least, we have sleep.
Sleep.
And this one, Brian believes, is essential. He aims for high-quality sleep
Yeah.
and specifically targets metrics like sleep onset time and wake after sleep onset time.
Okay, so how long it takes you to fall asleep,
Uh-huh.
and then how much you wake up during the night.
Exactly. And
Well-
he says this can add another 3 years.
I love that he's using these really specific sleep metrics, you know, to directly indicate biological age. It shows how important sleep really is.
It really does. Chronic lack of sleep ages you faster. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so prioritizing sleep is non-negotiable, right?
Non-negotiable.
This next part blew my mind. Brian's actually looking into ways to decalcify the pineal gland to improve sleep quality as we age. Have you heard about this?
Decalcify the pineal gland.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's pretty cutting edge, right? So as we get older, our pineal gland, which produces the sleep hormone melatonin,
Right.
it tends to calcify.
Okay, it hardens.
Yeah. And that messes with our sleep. So Brian's exploring using ultrasound to reverse this.
Wow.
It's still early days.
Right.
But if it works, I mean, it could really revolutionize how we approach sleep issues as we get older.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how much we're still learning, you know? Okay, switching gears a bit. Let's talk about stress management. Brian has this cool technique. He personifies different aspects of himself, like Evening Brian and Sleep Brian.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Evening Brian, sleep Brian.
Yeah, to consciously shift his mindset. you
So
know?
it's like he's what, compartmentalizing?
Exactly. It's like gamifying mindfulness.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By creating these personas, he's basically choosing which Brian is in charge,
Yeah.
And it's a really tangible way to avoid those negative thought spirals, especially before bed.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Because we all get those, like as soon as your head hits the pillow,
Exactly.
all those worries come flooding in.
And this way, you have more control. Okay, now let's talk hydration. Brian's got a whole strategy for that too.
I'm all ears. Hydration's so important.
He aims for 60 to 100 ounces of water every day. But here's the catch. He drinks it all before 4 p.m.
Wow. Okay. So front loading.
Front loading. And he's very particular about minerals,
Next.
for absorption and to avoid those nighttime bathroom trips.
Which, let's be honest, gets more common as we age.
Right. So smart.
Yeah.
Okay, ready for a curveball. You know how cold plunges and saunas are all the rage in biohacking?
Yeah, everyone's doing them.
Right. Well, Brian doesn't do either.
Really?
He's all about evidence-based practices, and there's not enough strong evidence to support those for longevity.
I gotta respect that.
Right. Sticking to what the science actually supports. Okay, next up, blood markers. Brian's big on tracking those, especially inflammation and glucose levels. But he also said that the science on cholesterol is still up for debate.
Yeah, that's a complex issue.
It is.
I mean, the science is always evolving, right?
Exactly.
But you gotta admire Brian's willingness to question things.
Oh, for sure.
Even conventional wisdom.
Okay, brace yourself for this one. Brian jokingly calls extra virgin olive oil his longevity elixir.
Wait, seriously? Olive oil?
He's kind of serious. He says it's better than most supplements and biohacking practices out there.
Hold on, I gotta hear this. What's his reasoning?
He cites research showing how it can lower bad cholesterol, improve blood sugar control, and even reduce that oxidative damage our cells experience over time.
That's wild. I knew olive oil was healthy, but
Right. It's a testament to the power of simple whole foods.
absolutely. Okay, so what about supplements?
Oh, yeah, his supplement routine. Get this, he's actually scaled back
Mm-hmm.
from over 100 supplements to 42.
100.
100, I know, right?
Wow. What made him cut back so much?
He's focusing on quality over quantity now.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about taking a ton of pills. It's about choosing the right ones.
Exactly. What stands out to you so far?
I think it's how he's blending cutting-edge science with these ancient wisdom kind of things.
Yeah, totally.
He embraces technology and research,
Mhm.
but he also sees the power of good sleep, managing stress, nourishing your body with those good whole foods. It's like he's found a really good balance.
It's like the sweet spot between high-tech and low-tech solutions
Yeah.
for living a longer, healthier life.
Exactly. And it's a really powerful message. It doesn't have to be complicated, It's not about chasing fads or spending a ton of money. It's about building those good habits.
Building a foundation.
Yeah. It's amazing how dedicated he is to tracking his progress and fine-tuning his approach.
It's like he's turned his own life into a laboratory.
Totally. And while, not all of us can go to those lengths, there's definitely a lot we can learn from his approach.
Right. Like, where's the balance between tracking every single detail and just living your life?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Data is super valuable, but it shouldn't take over.
Yeah, it's about finding that sweet spot.
Exactly.
Using the data to make better choices, but also listening to your body.
Yeah, trusting your intuition.
Totally. Before we jump into Brian's supplement regimen, can we go back to that evening Brian, sleep Brian thing?
Yeah, that was fascinating.
I know, right?
So it's basically like he's, training his brain to avoid those pre-sleep worries?
Yeah. It's like when it's time to wind down, evening Brian takes over.
Right.
And then sleep Brian helps him drift off.
And I guess that prevents those racing thoughts.
Exactly. It's like giving yourself permission to let go of the day's stress.
I could use a sleep Brian in my life.
Don't we all? Okay, are we ready to tackle the world of Brian Johnson's supplements?
Hit me with it.
You ready for this? He actually streamlined his supplement routine.
Okay, but how many was he taking before?
111.
111 supplements. Seriously.
Yeah, it's crazy. But now he's down to 42.
Wow, that's still a lot, but okay. So less is more, right?
He's all about quality over quantity now.
Yeah, smart move. It's not a competition to see who can swallow the most pills.
Exactly. Now, remember when Brian called extra virgin olive oil his longevity elixir?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
I know. But he wasn't entirely kidding, was he?
Okay, I'll bite. Tell me more about this olive oil thing.
So it turns out there's a ton of research backing up the benefits of EVOL.
Oh, I'm sure. Everyone knows olive oil is good for you.
Right. But it's even more powerful than we thought. Like it can significantly reduce LDL cholesterol, the bad kind.
The one that clogs your arteries.
Exactly. And it helps with blood sugar control, too.
Impressive. I never thought of olive oil as a blood sugar regulator.
I know, right? And get this, Brian is super particular about the quality of his olive oil.
Okay, that makes sense.
Fresh, cold-pressed, the whole 9 yards.
It's like anything else, the better the ingredients, the better the results.
Right. Brian believes that EVOO's ability to reduce oxidative damage is a big part of why it's so good for longevity.
Can you remind me what oxidative damage is again?
Yeah, basically it's like wear and tear on your cells from things like free radicals.
Right, those unstable molecules.
Uh-huh.
They damage your DNA and speed up aging?
Yep, so olive oil acts like a shield against that,
Fascinating. It's crazy how a simple food can be so powerful.
right? It's the food is medicine concept.
Exactly. It's great that Brian is highlighting that. So, okay, with all this talk about healthy habits, I gotta ask, does he ever cheat?
He did mention having a bit of a sweet tooth when he was younger.
Wait, seriously, like what kind of stuff?
Sugary cereal, soda, you name it.
No way. It's hard to imagine him indulging in that now.
I know, right? But it just goes to show that even someone like Brian had to learn and adjust his habits over time.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. Nobody's perfect.
It's reassuring to know that even he had to work at it.
Absolutely. It's never too late to start making those positive changes.
True. Now, before we move on, I'm curious about his exercise routine. He mentioned 6 hours a week, but what does that actually look like?
He's a big advocate for just moving your body consistently.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be super intense workouts. Walking, running, swimming, whatever you enjoy.
So it's more about being active and having fun than punishing yourself at the gym.
Exactly. Find what works for you and stick with it. This whole deep dive into Brian Johnson's world has been amazing.
Oh, I know, right? He's like a biohacking philosopher.
Totally. And he's really challenged our ideas about aging and what's possible.
I'm so motivated to try some of these strategies.
That's the spirit. Remember, find what works for you. Start small, experiment, and enjoy the journey. It's really inspiring, isn't it?
Totally. I'm feeling so motivated to take charge of my health,
Yeah, Brian's done some incredible things, and his dedication to tracking all those health markers, I mean, it shows you the power of personalized health.
It really does. And what I find so amazing is he's really committed to making this accessible to everyone. It's not just for the wealthy.
Exactly. He's like democratizing longevity.
I love that. So what about those power laws he talks about?
Yeah.
Do you think they're like universal? Or do you think they need to be tweaked for each person?
That's a good question. I mean, they definitely provide a solid foundation.
Right.
But we're all different. Our genetics, lifestyle, even our mindset, it all plays a part in how we age.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Definitely not. I think it's more about using those power laws as a starting point and then customizing them based on your individual needs and goals.
That makes sense. Working with a doctor or a health coach could be really helpful too.
Absolutely. It's about empowering yourself, right? Making informed decisions, not just blindly following someone else's protocol.
Totally. It's your health.
Exactly. And, Brian really emphasizes that whole idea of experimentation and self-discovery.
Oh yeah, he talks about that a lot.
Yeah, like try things out, track your progress, see what works best for you.
This is a journey.
A journey, not just a destination.
That's a great way to put it. So, big takeaway from our deep dive today.
Well, even though the science of longevity is always evolving, there are things we can do right now to prioritize our health and potentially, live longer.
So you don't have to wait for that magic pill.
Nope. We have the power to make choices today, to support our well-being.
Choices like eating good food, moving our bodies, managing stress, and getting enough sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember, progress, not perfection.
Love that. Wow, this deep dive has been eye-opening. I have a whole new perspective on aging now.
I'm glad to hear that. I hope you and all our listeners will keep exploring this fascinating world.
Yeah, the possibilities are pretty amazing.
They really are.
Well, if you're as intrigued as we are by Brian Johnson and his approach to longevity, be sure to check out his websites.
Yeah, those are great resources.
blueprint.brianjohnson.com and protocol.brianjohnson.com. You can find all the details about his power laws, his supplement regimen, all that good stuff.
And don't forget, like Brian says, it's not just about adding years to your life.
It's about adding life to your years.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the worlds of biohacking and longevity. We'll see you next time for another insightful exploration of cutting-edge health and wellness.